You knew this was coming. Courts must now contend with emojis. Hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English, where we help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. JR is the producer. The full lesson is available to you at plainenglish.com/608. Coming up today, emojis are part of daily life. They're in our texts, in our emails, they're increasingly in our documents, and now they are in our court cases. We'll talk today about how emojis are playing a part in legal cases and why that's complicated for judges. In the second half of the lesson, I'll show you another way to use the word figure, and we have a quote of the week. Let's get going. People argue, people fight, people disagree, and the basis of these disagreements is often communication, contracts, or informal agreements. But many agreements are not carefully written. There are disputes about what they mean. So to settle those disputes, people often turn to the court system. And now, modern technology has further complicated the age-old tradition of arguing over words. What happens if an agreement includes an emoji? Don't laugh. Courts around the world are now interpreting the meaning of emojis in their cases. Here's one from Canada. Chris Actor is a farmer in the western province of Saskatchewan. He frequently worked with a dealer who would buy his grain in bulk. Well, one day, the grain dealer sent a proposed contract stating that he, the dealer, would buy 87 metric tons of flax. Flax is a type of grain. The contract specified the price. Actor, the farmer, responded with a thumbs up emoji. The grain dealer saw the thumbs up and assumed that this meant that Actor had agreed to the contract. He assumed that the thumbs up emoji meant that Actor had agreed to provide the grain at the price in the contract. Actor, however, didn't see it that way. He says that the thumbs up emoji only meant that he had received the contract, not that he had agreed to it. Actor didn't deliver the grain, and the dealer sued him. And so a Canadian court had to decide, in this case, did a thumbs up emoji mean I agree to the terms of the contract? Or did a thumbs up emoji mean I have received the contract and will respond later? In the end, the court ruled that the emoji meant the farmer had agreed to the terms, and the farmer lost the case. The official ruling, hilariously, uses an actual thumbs up emoji repeatedly in the text of the official ruling. The judge said that emojis are a new reality in Canadian society. People use emojis to express themselves, so courts will have to get used to interpreting emojis. This is not the only case. An emoji now figures prominently in a securities fraud case in Washington, D.C. Securities are like stocks and bonds. So what could emojis possibly have to do with securities fraud? Just wait. Ryan Cohen is a high-profile investor. He's active on Twitter. He bought shares in Bed Bath & Beyond, a struggling and now bankrupt retailer. CNBC, a news site, published an article saying that Bed Bath & Beyond's business was failing. To accompany the story, CNBC used an archive photo of a woman pushing a cart at a Bed and Bath store. The photo could have been years old. Well, Ryan Cohen, the prominent investor in Bed and Bath, sarcastically tweeted, "At least her cart is full." Well, this made no sense since this was a years-old photo of a single customer. And now the company was going out of business. The photo was irrelevant. But Cohen tweeted, "At least her cart is full." And then, listen to this, and then he added an emoji. It was the full moon with face emoji. Now, some investors, I hesitate to call them investors. Should we just call them speculators, gamblers? Anyway, some investors interpreted the full moon with face emoji to mean high-profile investor Ryan Cohen believes this stock is going to the moon, meaning this stock is going to go up. Now, I guess this emoji is popular on Reddit investing forums. I don't know. What I do know is that on the basis of this emoji, listen to this, on the basis of this tweet with an emoji, some online investors bought the stock. Never mind that the article Cohen was commenting on was full of negative information. These investors figured that Ryan Cohen must have known something they didn't know. They thought he was saying, in secret emoji code, that the stock was going to the moon, so they bought the stock. Alas, the stock then collapsed. It went down, and those full moon emoji investors lost a lot of money. They are now suing Ryan Cohen for securities fraud. Essentially, they are suing him for saying that the stock was going to go up to the moon when in fact it was about to go down to the basement. This case has not yet gone to trial, but a court will soon have to interpret whether a full moon with face emoji was investing advice when appended to a sarcastic tweet. Court dockets are full of other examples. Courts have had to decide if a knife emoji is an actual threat of violence. They've had to decide if a heart emoji is sexual harassment. And they've had to decide whether a high heels emoji combined with a bag of money emoji implies prostitution. That one seems pretty clear, at least to me. Emojis cause confusion for a few reasons. First, there is no accepted definition of what each emoji means. People use them differently. Some emojis even have different meanings in different cultures and even among different generations. The thumbs up emoji is generally considered positive, but it's offensive in Iran, and some younger generations think it's passive-aggressive. The other problem is that every device displays emojis slightly differently. Emoji designs are not the same on iPhones as on Androids. Windows shows a different set of designs. Individual websites can show them differently too. This is important because when the designs change, people's interpretation of their meaning can change too. A 2016 study showed that the grinning face with smiling eyes emoji looked happy in Android's design, but ready to fight in Apple's iOS design. So be careful. The next time you send a text with an emoji, ask yourself whether the other person or a judge would interpret the emoji the same way. All right, just a quick reminder, we have changed up the emails we send out on Mondays and Thursdays. They are better, more fun, more informative than ever before. They include opportunities for you to get involved, to get to know JR and me a little more, to learn about other listeners, and to learn even more from every plain English lesson. It's 100% free. If you're not yet getting those, sign up at plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L. If you are getting them, maybe you haven't opened them in a while. Maybe they weren't interesting before. Give it another try. They come from JR at Plain English every Monday and Thursday morning time here in the Americas. Every Monday, I select a quote for us to think about, and it's often from an English-speaking person, but not always. Today, it's from a French poet from the 1600s, Jean La Fontaine. He said, "From the work, one knows the workman." There are multiple ways to interpret that, but I would say you can judge a person from his results. From the work, one knows the workman, says the French poet Jean La Fontaine. Well, next up, I'll show you how to use the word figure. Figure is a funny word. It's often used as part of a phrasal verb. You learned figure in lesson 316 and figure out back in lesson 80. But it can stand on its own too. If you say, I figure that, it means I have come to the conclusion that. So for example, let's say you're planning a day trip to a nearby town. It's a few hours away. You want to do several things in that town and get back home before it's too late. Your friend is skeptical. She's not sure how you're going to fit it all in. But you've thought about it and you have a plan. So you can say, I figure that we can leave early by 8 a.m. We'll get there by 10, do our activities until 5, and then we'll be home by 7 in the evening. I figure that here means I've thought about it and I have come to the conclusion. A few weeks ago, we talked about companies calling their employees back to the office. Some employees won't like that. But companies figure that their employees will be more productive if they're in the office a few days a week. And they figure that not too many employees will quit over the issue. Or they figure that the employees who do quit are the ones they don't want anyway. So these are ways to use figure that to mean to come to the conclusion that. Now, sometimes you can use figure that in the past tense to describe your reasoning, even if that reasoning proved to be flawed. CNBC, a business news site, published a story about how much trouble Bed Bath & Beyond was in. That's a company. Ryan Cohen was an investor in that company, Bed & Bath. He tweeted a full moon with face emoji in response to the story. Many investors figured that he had inside information about the company, and they figured that he was saying that the stock would go to the moon. In other words, these investors figured that the stock would go up based on Ryan Cohen's full moon emoji tweet. This means they came to that conclusion. They came to the conclusion that the stock would go up on the basis, I still can't believe I'm saying this, they invested their money in an almost bankrupt company on the basis of a moon emoji in a tweet. Well, they figured wrong, because in this case, we can say they figured that the stock would go up because this is what they concluded. It wasn't correct, but this was their logic. I recently switched to using Outlook for email. I figured that I could sync my Outlook desktop calendar to my Outlook iPhone calendar. I came to that conclusion. I figured that I could have a single calendar and it would show up on my computer and my phone just like it did when I used Outlook for work so many years ago. Well, that conclusion was wrong. It doesn't work that way if you don't have a big business account. I figured wrong. Oh well. And that's all for today's Plain English. Emojis really are part of our lives, right? There are 3,664 total emojis, and each one can be interpreted multiple ways. Well, remember, our emails are better than ever, packed with games, quizzes, puzzles, more English content, polls, chances to click and get involved, get thinking in English, and they're all for free. So if you're not getting our emails for any reason, it's okay. Just go to plainenglish.com/mail, enter your email address, and we will brighten your inbox with inspiring and fun content every Monday and Thursday. Well, that's all for today. Another lesson is coming your way on Thursday. Don't miss it.